Pro, the box making gadget, and this is Vcarve Pro 10.5, and we are going to create a new file. Now, a little bit about this. When you go to create a new file and you're making these boxes, you don't really know how big it is, so you're better off to make your length of your table, the width of it, and then leave your y-axis long. In this case, I've got 96 inches, and then you set your thickness of your material. This has to be exactly what your material is, otherwise your box joints won't fit. So if it's off even a little bit, then we're not going to fit right. So this is very important. The thickness and this information here has got to be right. We're going to use the corner for the datum, and we've created a new file. Okay, so next thing we do is go up here to Gadgets, pull down the box creator, and this program is pretty good. It's got a few little bugs in it. One of them is whenever you make the flat lid, it'll bomb out on the pocket. Uh, anyway, so to get around that, just tell it not to make a lid, and you cut your own lid because it's just a flat lid anyway. But anyway, let's go talk about this one. We're going to create a box at 14, width 10, height is 22, and the joint width is a 1/2 inch. Your allowance is giving yourself a little bit of wiggle room in your joints. If you don't build this in, they'll be too tight. You can't get them together. And we're going to select our end mill. It's 1/8 inch end mill, and that's pretty common. Square tabs, and we're going to tell it to make us a tab lid so that it doesn't bomb out. You can also tell it not to create the lid by unchecking that, and it won't bomb out. So, okay, here we go. Let's move on over here. It has now created all these box joints, and we'll zoom in on them a little bit. And basically, they're the material is a 1/4 inch, and the box joints are 1/2 inch. So everything's cool and right. It's exactly the way it's supposed to be in that respect, and we're good there. So the problem is milling all of this on a 96 inch piece of material. When you go to milling these joints, and we're using the tiling function, if any of these joints are across tiles, if you're not, 1,000% on, it's just not going to fit. And I cut up 2 sheets of plywood, and I ended up making one box out of them and made lots of scrap, because every time I try to fit them, it could be off a 32nd or 60, even a 64th. If you multiply that around here and around here, then you find out that things just won't fit. So stay away from your joints around your tile edges. And what we're going to do is jump over here to the this is your tile to path, okay, and it's going to look at this and it's going to tile this. Right now it's all one sheet, and so we're going to tile to path it right now, and this is at the height of 96. So my machine will do like 24 inches, well, it's really 23 7/8. So let me go ahead and plug that in, hit the equal sign, and we'll do it that way. I'm going to tell it to update. Right now we just have this one tile. So now we have 4 tiles set up here. The only thing is the joints are spread across the tiles. So what we're going to do is we're going to move them up so that we don't have to deal with that. And of course, you want to be precise. Another thing you might want to do is to calculate. Go up here to calculate all tool paths just to make sure that there's no errors. And it says okay, so we're good there. And I'm going to come in here and zoom in on this one right here, and we're going to move it out of the way. And so grab that, and I'm going to just use my right arrow key, move it up, and then take it all the way to the top and play a little game of Tetris, or I think that's called Tetris. And we'll bring it all the way to the top. Let me go ahead and move it down here. It's not quite so critical whenever you're just dropping it right there for right now. And you can move them off to the side as well, and then drag them up there. But we'll just put it up about right in there. Okay, now the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on this one, and we're going to capture this screen here. We're just going to move it down. So we'll get it down here, set it on the tile, make sure that it's not broke across these tiles. And what this is going to do is going to create files that these are not broke across the tiles. And you can have like tile 1, tile 2, tile 3, tile 4. And you can name these, you know, these are the bottom and the top right now. And that's all I'm doing is going up here and moving them down off of the tiles. Now, I tried the doweling. I lined up the fence, made a perfect fence, did everything. But like I said, you know, if you got 50 of these joints and they're all just a hair, you're just inviting a whole lot of trouble. So just make your box and keep them, you know, don't tile them across your joints and save yourself some heartache. Okay, now right now I have the 4 tiles, and if you look, none of them are breaking across those tiles, and that works out good. So let's recalculate all of our links. We can probably just highlight them. Let's go ahead and get them all, then tell them to re-highlight. Okay, there we go. And we recalculate. All toolpaths calculated correctly. Okay, what this is going to do now is it's going to cut, and it'll be just perfect. And there's your cutouts. Let's go here and save our toolpaths, and you'll notice that this output tile toolpath, selected toolpath, there's just one cut here. Now, if you do the other setup, there'll be a profile cut. That's where it'll bomb, but that's just a bug in the program. And we'll save toolpaths this way, and we'll just make a new folder. Go up here under boxes. We're going to call this a new folder, and we're going to call this the 10 by 14 by whatever it was, 8 inches. Okay, and we'll create that, and we'll drop them in here, and we'll call this the cutout. And it doesn't really matter at that point. You could rename this 10 by 14. If you get too long file name, not so good. So we'll just call this cutout. And what it's done now is it's created a toolpath for each one of these tiles. So tile 1, tile 2, tile 3, and tile 4. That's the first 2 tiles are the bottom and the top sides, and then the last one. So let's go over here and jump over here to that folder where it created those, and we will, it's under, let's see here, let's go to desktop and go over here to the shark and go down here to boxes, and there's our 10 by 14 by 8 inches box. And here are our cutouts right here. And what I would do here is just rename this file. And you know, you want to be careful so you don't mess with it, but this is the bottom. Okay, hit enter. Rename that file. And that is the top. And then tile 3 is the sides. And you want to make sure that you don't mess up this. And I'll go rename that. And that is the ends. Okay. Now you can take these 4 toolpaths, and put them on your thumb drive. Save them to a thumb drive, and you will be able to, you know, cut these individual sections. And I'll cut my pieces 24 inches. They'll fit underneath my CNC box. Keeps all the dust down, keeps the noise down, and they work out fine. Now, while it's true that I don't have a 96-inch piece of board going through there, I could, and I could still slide it down, put the mark right there, and cut them out like this. However, I'm just going to cut them into 24-inch, and, you know, I'm going to do that manually as far as that goes. But this is how I learned to make these boxes, make them accurate, and it works very well. Hope you enjoyed it. And this is a cool gadget built 24-inch long boxes so far, and they glue up fine, and they're tight. Extremely cool gadget. It's not perfect, but it works real well. I am making boxes, and this box is a box joint jig. They're set at 1/4 inches, and it's taken me a little while to figure out how to make this work just right. And I'm making it over here on a CNC machine. I've learned through the process that a nice plexiglass field to keep your cords and stuff from getting caught up into the T-track is important. Also, I've learned that dust collection coming off here can get caught in the gantry, and if you bottom out any of your axes, then it throws this off and it will not fit. I have a whole plethora of cardboard or pieces over here that are off a 32nd, and I just didn't feel like I wanted to file them all and put them to use. I'll just size the boxes down and put them to use. But anyway, I've got, after a little bit of experience, I've learned that I can take a sheet that fits inside my CNC box. I can basically line it up and cut it inside the box, and everything works out just fine. What I did is I did attach a new fence to this. Then I milled it with the router and the CNC, so that it's totally parallel with the way the machine moves. And I also lined it up to the edge there, so I know that that plywood is exactly there. And when I line it up on the very far end over there, then that this piece is straight. And then the way I attach it is with a little Craftsman brad nailer. It shoots a little 1/2-inch nails in it. And if you put it down here on the edge, it'll just go into it'll only go into the scrap pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and slide that down and do the other side of it. This is how I do this. Just basically drop that down, walk around the machine, lift it up on the other side, and I have this little cheap board right here that I can put on there with a notch in it. And let me move this in here. We'll put another nail in here. This is down to past the limits of what my table will do. So we'll put it in here, and then over here in the middle. And what's nice about this is, and in the middle even, even if that bit hits one of them nails, they're not very hard, and it doesn't seem to damage the nails at all. It doesn't seem to damage the cutters at all, and so it's kind of like non-consequential. I did learn through the process of the hard knocks is that when you open that garage door and you have this all the way up, it will grab this box and pull it through there and bust a section out of it. But what's nice about glue is that you can glue it back together and pick up and go in no time flat. So that's how I'm nailing this down. It's very easy to come undone. All I can do is just take a little screwdriver. This reaches back in there, is why it's so long. But this will reach back in there. I can pop it up off there and pull it out in about a minute and pull my screws through. And if I plan it right, I can have the nails in the scrap. And I don't use any tabs in this. It's not really been a problem. I've cut out, I don't know, quite a few of them, and it's not damaged them. I do sometimes, if it looks like it's moving around, I'll just lift it up and put a little brad in there. Again, they're only 1/2 inch. It goes in the spool bit board. I did learn also on the Shark that one MDF spool board is not enough, because sometimes you can load your bits in there and they'll bottom out before they get to the surface of this. So I added another one, glued it on top, and then I use a sacrificial piece of 1/4 inch plywood, some cheap stuff. You can get it like $14 for a 4x sheet. It's just a cheapo birch plywood, and I just cut a piece out of there, and then I cut into it. And also, when you're cutting these out, don't cut them too thin. In other words, plan on cutting into your wasteboard, because cleaning them all up, I mean, hey, 50 on one edge, 25, 30 on the other edge. I mean, it's crazy the amount of work that will save you if you just cut it through the material. So if it doesn't look like it's cutting it through it, don't take it off there. Just bring it down a little bit more and cut it through. But use a piece of sacrificial. Okay, so I've got this laid down here, My Z-axis is at this level here. I'm going to go ahead and use my plate and set my zeros. And I know that that's 0, so we're going to set that. And now we're going to do the plate thing and get the height set. Right here. Click the button on my plate. Touch that so that it knows that it's in the circuit. And bring it down. And that sets my depth. Okay, I'm going to update that as far as my Z's. So all of my stuff is set. I'm ready to load up my USB. Also, another thing that I learned on the USB, you know, after dealing with computers for so many years, I learned that if I'm popping stuff in and out of a USB port all the time, it's not too long before I wear that out. Okay, so go buy yourself a little $5-6 cable that acts as the USB port. You'll wear this out instead of wearing that out. And the same with power plugs. If you've got them where you're unplugging them and plugging them back in all the time, put an extension on it and don't wear your ports out on your machine. So anyway, there is my USB data from Vcarve, and we're going to load it up and look at it. And I've got this under DeWalt tables, and the basically what I did is when I was using the gadget, I would come up with my pieces and cut them out to whichever end that I need. And so now I've made 3 of the boxes, so I've used all of my extra pieces. So now I'm just going to cut a piece in there and go through the process and cut it. But I broke it up into 3 cuts, 3 different grooves, 3 different sets, and that way there's none of my box joints overlaying another tile. So using the tiling feature with the gadget, you then just move the piece of material up a little bit or down a little bit until your 3 pieces are no longer split across tiles. That, trying to get that to split across the tile with that many intricate cuts up and down both sides is a nightmare. And I did actually get it to work 1.5 times. I did have to like file 4 or 5 teeth to get them in. But if you want it to fit seamlessly without having to mess with it, don't split them across the tiles. That's been my experience. All right, now I'm using a 1/8 inch end mill, and I'm really set to go. All I've got to do is drop my box, and I do not want to actually work this without using this box. This cuts the noise down by 50%. I'll turn on the dust collector, which is coming in right through here. This hose in here, so all the fine dust comes through here, goes in there, goes through the dust deputy, puts the dust down the bottom, and then the free air comes here. When this system's hooked up and working and I don't let that overfill, I never have to clean this. And so I get full suction with the dust deputy. If you don't have a dust deputy working in your shop, you're making a mistake, because that is probably one of the best inventions there is for a wood shop. And then it drops all that fine dust in there, and it's not all over my shop. So we're going to go ahead and fire this thing up, and we're going to cut out the bottom. And here we go. Ready to start. And I'm going to turn that off so you can kind of see that. But basically, you know, those are 1/4 inch box joints, and it's going to go to town. And, you know, I'm outside the box now. I don't have any hearing protection on. All right, I went ahead and decided that you didn't need to listen to that router buzzing away inside there. This box has been a real advantage. It's just been a great tool. Um, it keeps me from having to wear those headphones, and keeps the noise down. If you get out to the street, it just might be sound like might be an air conditioner running. With the box on, it's bearable. You can actually hold a conversation right next to it. 2 people can. It's a little bit annoying, you know, standing right next to it, but if you get 4 or 5 feet away, you're fine. I'm making these boxes to fit underneath these DeWalt tables, and allow me to organize my stuff and keep it from falling on the floor. Um, and Some of my drill press stuff, I ended up filling it up Had to move my switch up just a little bit so the box would slide in, but basically just built those custom boxes to fit in there and to clean that up, and that worked out really well. I need to make one for the Delta and the bandsaw. Anyway, this added an LED light that just clips onto the spindle, and the cord is running across there. But if you've got like a laser um, cord, you don't leave it connected all the way up. And I learned that cord will get hung up, and it will cause your Z-axis and all your different axes to get out of alignment. So I put that plastic shield back in there that kind of just screws the front of the machine, and you can barely see it there, but the cord runs over the top of the shield. I sanded it to where it smooths back and forth, and it'll run over there and it won't get hung up anymore. Now this lamp cord, I'm going to go ahead and position it with the router cable and run it back behind so that it's not laying out there. But the main thing is that the laser module will still get hung up, so I'm going to leave the shield up. It also keeps the chips from deflecting out, and it works well in that respect. The LED, it shows enough light in there. I've got a little red camera or a little red LED in the front, which if it's a small project and I'm not covering the whole thing, then I can stick that in there and it lights up that whole box. So a few options depending on what you're wanting to do with it. It works out real well. I will say that I prefer not to CNC without this box on. This box has got collects all the dust, sends it out through that hose in the back, goes over there to the dust deputy, and it keeps the dust down. It's just a tremendous tool. Probably one of the best inventions there is the dust deputy, as far as I'm concerned, because it just keeps your filters clean. You don't have to keep cleaning them. Uh, this box is just blue foam with Gorilla Glue, and use a foaming kind, uh, and just some fine threaded sheetrock screws, and you can make this box no time flat. It it serves its purpose. The Lexan on the windows, I just drill them all at the same time, and then shot little bolts through there to hold them on there every now and then. I have to clean it. These are the boxes. This is a box joint jig that I made. It makes box joints of any variable from a quarter to half, 3/4, any increment of a 1/4 inch, and it works real well. I can cut a bunch of little box joints. Now I had built this before I had the CNC machine, so it's pretty cool. I did make um, some smaller boxes. This is a box that I didn't even sand it. It's really strong, and that was one of my first boxes with CNC, and works real good. You just plug in the numbers, and boom, with a gadget, it creates any kind of box you want. Made the big boxes, in lengths of 22.5 inch wide by 14 feet. They are, if anything's just not right, that thing will not, it won't fit. So, great gadget, great tool. Thank you, Vetric, for making a great machine. Thank you, the Shark people, for making a cool CNC machine. And I'm just loving this thing. I've probably made 30 projects in the last 2 months, and I look forward to going out and firing it up. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.